The leprechauns are merry, industrious, tricksy little sprites who do all the shoemakers' work and the tailors' and the cobblers for the fairy gentry, and are often seen at sunset under their hedge, singing and stitching. They know all the secrets of hidden treasure, and if they take a fancy to a person, will guide him to the spot in the fairy wraith where the pot of gold lies buried. It is believed that a family now living near Caesarea came by their riches in a strange way, all through the good offices of a friendly leprechaun, and the legend has been handed down through many generations as an established fact. There was a poor boy once, one of their forefathers, who used to drive his cart of turf daily back and forward, and make what money he could by sale, but he was a strange boy, very silent and moody, and the people said he was a very changeling, for he joined in no sports, and scarcely ever spoke to anyone, but spent the nights reading all the old bits of books he picked up of his rambles. Then one thing he longed for above all others was to get rich, and to be able to give up the old weary turf cart and live in peace and quietness all alone, with nothing but books around him, and a beautiful house and a garden all by himself. Now he had read in the old books how the leprechauns knew all the secret places where gold lay hid, and day by day he watched for a sight of the little cobbler, and listened for the click, click, click of his hammer as he sat under the hedge mending the shoes. At last, one evening, just as the sun set, he saw a little fellow under a dock leaf working away, dressed all in green, with a cocked hat on his head. So the boy jumped down from the cart and seized him by the neck. "Now, you don't stir from this," he cried. "You tell me where to find the hidden gold." "Easy now," said the leprechaun. "Don't hurt me, and I'll tell you all about it. But mind you, I could hurt you if I chose, for I have the power, but I will not do it, for we are cousins once removed. So, as we are near relations, I'll just be good, and show you the place of the secret gold that none can have or kept, except of those of fairy blood and race. Come along with me, then, to the old fort of Lippinshaw, for there it lies. But make haste, for when the red glow of the sun vanishes, the gold will disappear also, and you'll never find it again." "Come off, then," said the boy, and he carried the leprechaun into the turf cart and drove off. In a second they were at the old fort, and went in through a door made in the stone wall. "Now look around," said the leprechaun, and the boy saw the whole ground covered with gold pieces, and there were bowls of silver lying in such plenty that all the riches of the world seemed to gather there. "Now, take what you want," said the leprechaun, "but hasten, for if that door shuts, you'll never leave this place as long as you live." So the boy gathered up his arms full of gold and silver, and flung them into the cart, and was on his way back for more, when the door shut with a clap like thunder, and all the place became dark as night, and he saw no more of the leprechaun, and had no time to even thank him. So he thought it best to drive home at once with his treasure, and when he arrived, and was all alone by himself, he counted his riches, and all the bright yellow gold pieces, enough for a king's ransom. And he was very wise, and told no one, but went off next day to Dublin, and put all his treasures into the bank, and found that he was now indeed as rich as a lord. So he ordered a fine house to be built with spacious gardens, and he had servants and carriages and books to his heart's content, and he gathered all the wise men round him to give him the learning of a gentleman. And he became a great and powerful man in the country, where his memory is still held in high honour, and his descendants are living to this day rich and prosperous, for their wealth has never decreased, though they have ever given largely to the poor, and are noted above all things for their friendly heart and liberal hand. But the leprechauns can be bitterly malicious if they are offended, and one should be very cautious in dealing with them, and always treat them with great civility, or they will take revenge, and never reveal the secret of the hidden gold. One day a young lad was out in the fields at work, when he saw a little fellow not the height of his hand, mending shoes under a dock leaf, and he went over, never taking his eyes off him, for fear he would vanish away, and when he got close, he made a grab at the creature, and lifted him up and put him in his pocket. Then he ran away home as fast as he could, and when he had the leprechaun safe in the house, he tied him by an iron chain to the hob. "Now tell me," he said, "where am I to find the pot of gold? Let me know the place, or I'll punish you." "I know of no pot of gold," said the leprechaun, "but let me go that I may finish mending the shoes." "Then I'll make you tell me," said the lad, and with that he made down a great fire, and put the little fellow on it, and scorched him. "Oh, take me off, take me off!" cried the leprechaun, "and I'll tell you, just there, under the dock leaf, where you found me, there's a pot of gold. Go, dig and find." So the lad was delighted and ran to the door, but it so happened that his mother was just then coming with a pail of fresh milk, and in his haste he knocked the pail out of her hand, and all the milk was spilled on the floor. Then, when the mother saw the Leprechaun, she grew very angry and beat him. "Go away, you little wretch!" she cried. "You have overlooked the milk and brought ill luck!" And she kicked him out of the house. But the lad ran off to find the dock leaf, though he came back very sorrowful in the evening, for he had dug and dug and nearly down to the middle of the earth, but no pot of gold was to be seen. That same night the husband was coming home from his work, and as he passed the old fort he heard voices and laughter, and one said, "They are looking for a pot of gold, but they little know that a crack of gold is lying down in the bottom of the old quarry, hid under the stones close by the garden wall, but whoever gets it must go of a dark of night at 12 o'clock, and beware of bringing his wife with him." So the man hurried home and told his wife he would go that very night, for it was black, dark, and she must stay at home and watch for him, and not stir from the house till he came back. Then he went out into the dark night alone. "Now," thought the wife when he was gone, "if I can only get to the quarry before him, I would have the pot of gold all to myself. What if he gets it and I shall have nothing?" And with that she went out and ran like the wind until she reached the quarry, and then she began to creep down very quietly in the black dark, but a great stone was in her path, and she stumbled over it and fell down and down until she reached the bottom, and there she lay groaning, for her leg was broken by the fall. Just then her husband came to the edge of the quarry and then began to descend, but when he heard the groans he was frightened. "Cross of Christ about us!" he exclaimed. "What is that down below? Is it evil or is it good?" "Oh, come down and help me!" cried the woman. "It's your wife is here, and my leg is broken, and I'll die if you don't help me." "And this is my pot of gold?" exclaimed the poor man. "Only my wife with a broken leg lying at the bottom of the quarry." And he was at his wits' end to know what to do, for the night was so dark he could not see a hand before him, so he roused a neighbor, and between them they dragged up the poor woman and carried her home, and laid her on the bed, half dead from fright. And it was many a day before she was able to get about as usual. Indeed, she limped all her life long, so that the people said that the curse of the Leprechaun was on her. But as to the pot of gold, from that day to this not one of the family, father or son, or any belonging to them, ever set eyes on it. However, the little Leprechaun still sits under the dock leaf of the hedge and laughs at them as he mends the shoes with his little hammer. Tick tack, but they are afraid to touch him, for now they know he can take his revenge.